It really is a trap, people. And if you don't know how they pulled it off, if you don't know how they sprung it on us, how in the hell are you going to figure out a way to get out from under it? You've got to learn. I'll tell you what, this is a kind of podcast that can really piss some people off. It shouldn't be the case, but it will be, no doubt in my mind. I'm going to start this out with a little story for y'all. Have you ever heard the story about the farmer who had wild pigs roaming his land? You ever heard that one? Tell me if you heard it. I'll give you the abbreviated short version. Well, this farmer was talking to his wife about the wild pigs, free-range pigs, about how good they would look on the dining room table, the dinner table, if he could only figure out a way to catch and corral them. His wife, by no means a bottom feeder, nope, she had a high IQ, told him, and I quote, "Why don't you call Dave Corum? He knows everything, and I bet he could help you out." Oh, she is so right. I'm all about helping people out. So the farmer contacts me, and I tell him, you bet I can solve your situation, your problem, your dilemma, with my 5-day plan. In other words, you'll be enjoying a Porky Pig dinner after just 5 short days. So here's what I told him to do. On day 1, put a pile of feed out in the open about where you see them ranging. Not too much, but just enough to get their attention. On day 2, repeat the feeding, same location, but construct your first fence panel. On day 3, repeat and construct your second fence panel around the feeding area. Repeat on day 4 by building your third fence panel. Now the farmer interrupts me with a question. But Dave, won't the pigs catch on? Get suspicious? I said, hell no. Why would they? Sure, 3 sides are closed off, but they can still come and go as they please. Don't worry about a thing. And on the 5th and final day, and I assumed he was building these at night, build the final gate section with a remote-controlled closer. Double the amount of feed day 5, and when they show up to eat the feed, hit the remote control button. Voila! All the pork you want for such a small effort, and in 5 short days. Now there's a moral to the story, people. People that participate in free money from the government, whether it be the farm subsidies or the more recent SBA's Payment Protection Plan, oh yeah, PPP, you walked into the trap. And now we, yes I said we are hooked. That includes me. And I'll tell you why in a second. And don't get me wrong, I'm glad we have local farmers and businesses that survived the monochrona craze. Farmer and ranchers, how many times have I said on my channel, glad you guys do what you do, and you sure have a lot of things going against you. You don't control the markets, but you should, and you don't control the weather, but we know who does. Yep, the good friends at Raytheon Lockheed Martin. That's just to name 2 situations you find yourself in. But here's the problem. It's not the mom and pop farm and ranchers. It's not the mom and pop businesses. It's the large corporate fat cats. It's not the family on food stamps. It's Murray's buddies. They know how to create government giveaway programs, benefiting themselves, their tribe, while tossing you a very small, often rubber bone. By the way, is Murray benefiting from these programs? You know it. His snout is buried up to his eyeballs in the public trough in their programs. Now, as a side note, Fat Jesus had a lot of fun with the Small Business Administration's website, federalpay.org. There were a lot of surprised bottom feeders when he entered their names and saw what they got in PPP forgiven loans. The hypocrisy was incredible. Oh, it was rampant, people. No names, but one guy was bitching that one lady got $7,500, and he wanted to know why and what for. Turns out this guy bitching got $10,000. And Fat Jesus and I both wanted to know why he got the $10,000. I mean, yeah, you can have fun at a bar with the small recipients, but how many employees did this guy have, the guy that was bitching? On the payroll, 0, none. You know why? Because he is an employee himself. Now, who was sitting next to another guy? He was sitting next to another guy with no employees either, who received $27,000. Now, people, I hope you don't think you have privacy when applying for federal funds. Come on, really? Are you that dumb, that naive? Your names are on a database. Your names and your amounts received. Just for shits and giggles. I went to EWG-EchoWhiskeyGulp.org, the environmental work group, and found their farm subsidy database. I clicked on North Dakota, And in the left info box, I clicked on Search for Farm Subsidy Recipients. I entered Willow City zip code 58384, and what do you know? Now I know these people, and some of them are pretty arrogant, think they're pretty important. Well, I'd be important too if I had that kind of firepower dumped into my business. The top two, it's a husband and wife team, received over $4 million in farm subsidies alone. Now, this doesn't take into consideration all the other stuff, like crop insurance. And, I don't mean to paint with a broad brush. Yes, I know there's lots of ups and downs. Don't get me wrong. I'm not your enemy. So I'm just saying, you could learn a lot, and it explains a lot, if you know what I mean, if you know how to look for the information. Hey, nice tan you got there in Arizona, buddy. Oh, is that motorcycle brand new? Now, jumping back to SBA's federalpay.org, I checked North Dakota. Here's the raw numbers, people. 51,521 PPP loans, $2.9 billion price tag, $56,167 average pay loan. And this is what really gets me. You should check out the list. You'd be surprised who you would find on it. Scroll down and you'll find Lutheran Social Services of North Dakota in Fargon, North Dakota. $2,595,800, paying 328 employees. Yes, you can have a lot of fun at the bar with the small recipients, but Lutheran Social Services, what do they do? What do their 328 employees do? They are the refugee, legal or not, relocators. Yep, relocated to our backyard. Gee whiz, Dave, this podcast sounds like a rant to me. And how does any of this affect you? You jealous? Oh, I'm so glad you asked, people. First, let me warn you. If a bankster gangster encouraged you to apply for a Fed program, be careful that it's a red flag. It's a warning. You are walking into a trap. Don't doubt me. So a different bankster gangster was at the bottom Peter pit yesterday. No, it wasn't Dan the Mason man. And no names, people. Let's just say, what should we say? He's a retired bankster gangster from Botno, North Dakota, in the USA. And what inspired this conversation was a brief conversation. What inspired this podcast was a brief conversation I had with him during a card game. I was bitching about the price of food and dog food at Wally Worlds yesterday morning. It is outrageous. And the bankster said, well, what do you expect inflation to do when you have an idiot in the White House? And people, he told me this bald-faced lie. He pure bullshit with a straight face. Neither Biden or Trump have a goddamn thing to do with it. They are puppets who are given a list of names to appoint. They will appoint whoever they are told to Secretary of Treasury, and they will appoint the Chairman of the Federal Reserve, who most often are distantly related to, you guessed it, Murray. Gee, I wonder why. I just can't figure that connection out. No, my bankster gangster friend, Joe Biden has nothing to do with inflation, and Congress is powerless to do anything about inflation. How come? Because as the Fed freely admits, the actual process of money creation takes place in commercial banks. Yeah, like one that you used to be president of. They create the money most people have to labor for. And the privately owned Federal Reserve also admits the federal government, with the cooperation of the Federal Reserve, has the power to create money. Well, why do they need taxes? Good question. That's what causes inflation, people. Flooding the market with endless bookkeeping entries and slips of paper with dead presidents and other administrative secretaries on it. Endless and effortless created money. Remember, do you remember QE1, QE2, QE3, and QE4, and on, quantitative easing? Billions dumped into the market by the Fed. Remember that? Created out of thin air. That's why my money buys almost nothing at Walmart. But he had enough $100 bills with him at the card game to never have to worry about inflation or food price insecurity. Okay, I'll admit I had a little fun with who's who and who got what. But most of you guys get tossed a bone. The big bucks go to the fat cats. And we are all going to pay for this. If not today, tomorrow, but soon. And we are paying for it, as a matter of fact. I just paid for it yesterday. I told you yesterday, the Fed of New York, as a Christmas present for us all, they'll introduce a bigger fraud to cover up the current fraud. Don't doubt me about it, people, and don't fall for it. By the way, it just broke in the news. that President Zelensky of the Ukraine got caught skimming $400 million from a Pentagon-funded aid program, diesel fuel program for his military equipment. And that's just one of many, and just one he got caught at, and a distant relative of Murray's. Go figure. So, quick public service announcement message, people. It is Thursday the 13th of April. You're running out of time to pretend to pay your taxes so governments can pretend to pay their bills. Get it done. Me? I got stuff to do.